Okay, we're back on the Mark II today, and the first job I thought we'd tackle is this roof skin. So let's get up close and I'll show you what we got so far. Okay, this car used to have a Webasto sunroof, and we've got a replacement skin to fill that in. And this is the repair we've got so far. So it's basically plonked on the top, cut to size. Some holes have been drilled all the way around, and then it's spot welded here and there. So we're going to try and do an improvement on this and try and get it sitting a bit nicer. So let me see you back at the bench and I'll explain how and why we're going to do it. Okay, so this is the repair we've got at the minute. This is the original roof that's left, and then we've laid on our replacement skin. And the problem with this way of doing it is not so much in the fixing of it itself, it's when you come to finish it, because when you put your filler over here and then you smooth it flat, what happens is you end up with a low spot here. So what you do is you put filler over there, and then you end up with a low spot here, and so on. So you know, you got a low spot here, so you fill that, and then you just end up cacking the roof basically from the center right round to there, just to cover just a very minor discrepancy. And this is why you find when you come across a repair, you know, whether it's a wheel arch or whatever, you don't, it's rare to find just a tiny bit of filler. You usually find loads of filler, because that's what you have to do to hide it. So this is all about the finishing, not so much the actual fixing of the repair. So obviously, like you guys have been watching a lot of YouTube, and there's a guy on there, Fitzy's Fabrications, and he was showing how he does it, so I thought I'd give it a try. So he comes in, same idea, so lay your panel over, spot it around to stop it moving about, and then he comes in with his grinder at 45 degrees. Now this seems, you know, quite a good idea to me, because the upshot of it is obviously there's your original coming around like that, and you end up with that cut at 45 degrees and your new panel cut at 45 degrees. So this ends up kind of sitting on there flush. Well, that's the idea. Certainly a lot more flush than it would be otherwise. So when you come in, you can get your welder in there, and you know, because you've got the two slants of the metals, you've effectively increased the thickness, so you can get a really good nice bit of heat in that contact point. So what you're trying to achieve is, at worst, a flush joint that you can, you know, just put the minimal amount of filler or primers and whatnot to cover it. But in some ways even better, where you can get a nice bit of heat into here, albeit one spot at a time, and allowing it to cool in between. When that weld cools and it shrinks the metal, you actually end up with it pulling in there, which is ideal, because when you come to fill it, you put your filler over there, you sand it flat, and hopefully, obviously when you feather it off there and there, you end up with a, you know, with a more invisible repair. So, you know, I just thought I'd give it a try this time. So there's no news to cut through both the old and the new panel at the same time. I've seen that before, but they normally talk about cutting it at 90 degrees, but I think this way it gives you a little bit more, you know, chance of making as good a repair as you can anyway. Alright, back to the job. So this is the next bit I'm going to cut along here. So as we were saying, coming in with the grinder at 45 degrees, and that should bring them together nice. Okay, so this is the stage you're at once you've done the grinding part. Where there is your spot weld, you need to get the finger file and get through this odd spot here and there, and then you just pry it out. Where you're at, and straight away things start to, if you could grind, that is, things start to look a lot flusher. So I'll bring you back when we cleaned another section of it up a bit. Okay, here's a little bit. What we're trying to achieve is to get these two obviously nice and flush. So sort of what's happening is this is providing a shelf for this to sit on, and when it goes well, and trust me, it don't always go well, but you know, you can get it really quite nice. So what I'm doing is I'm tacking from the middle a bit at a time, so one this side, one that side, so that the metal's got somewhere to go. I think if I was to say start tacking here and then go over to the other side and start tacking there, I could end up with, you know, the panel I'm trying to weld to bowing up and having nowhere to go. So I'm just doing it a little bit at a time and going in the direction where if it wants to, you know, come up, it can, and then we can always, you know, address it if that does happen. But up to now it's been pretty good. So anyway, let me put a few more spots in here and we'll catch you in a bit. So if you were wondering what it looks like inside the car, then because when you've done your grinding, if it all goes to plan, you get the corresponding piece of the original roof skin that you can just snip off, and then you get as close a joint as you're likely to get, really. So that's all looking good so far. Weld penetration without having a gap as such. Yeah. It seems that we are. This is showing up. It's looking like it's really rusty on camera, but it is clean back. All the surface rust is clean back. Obviously, there's another job I got to treat all this before we're finished. But yeah, everywhere I've welded from above, it's coming through in some fashion or other. So I'll call it a win for now. So as I was explaining earlier, what I was going for, if I could, was to achieve a low spot on the repair, so that way you can feel your way out of trouble. You can always feel your way out of trouble if something's low, but you're in all sorts of trouble if you're high. So that's all I was trying to do. Just try and make sure I can keep the repair within my limited ability. Okay. Just give you a little overall picture. So even in some ways, even more important than that is that you do not want to, with such a large panel, you do not, whatever you do, don't get too much heat and warp the panel, whether it's, you know, a roof, a door, because you are going to be in a world of pain. Right, I think I'm going to call it there, guys. I was hoping to get this in the first stage of filler. I'm going to fiberglass both sides of the repair to seal it, especially it's even more important because it's the roof. But I'm going to be here a little while longer, so be nice to get something up for you to see, and we'll check back in with it on the next one, and you can see how I've been getting on. Okay, then that's the end of part one, bodywork repairs. Look forward to seeing you in part two. Bye for now.